Hi everyone and happy Monday. It is planner day and we have this design which is part of a page from Secret Garden. Now I have done a video already showing you how to do one of these shapes. I think it might have actually been that one, but I can't be completely sure. It was a long time ago and I would try to remember to link to it because it's a completely different way of colouring to the way I'm going to do it today. Of course there are lots of different ways of doing this. How I did it before was I made a sort of gemstone centre and it looked like it was all shiny and stuff. This time I'm going to use my slightly dusty tin of metallic Castle Arts pencils. And I thought it would, because I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I thought these would, there we go, these would provide that difference. So I haven't really thought further than that though, so I'm dithering and pondering. I'm thinking, should we use a limited colours palette? I've never done this with the metallics before. I'm thinking should we do all the centres the same colour? I'm thinking I could go for some golds. Where's the harvest gold? There. So I'm thinking let's do a gold centre and then let's try this. Okay, I'm going to just demonstrate on one or two. I won't do the whole page and then I will finish it off myself because I'm going to do them all the same. So I'm going to start with the harvest gold, which is a slightly darkish gold, and do the edge of the centre. Okay, so we're going to make this look, hopefully, the plan. Maybe I shouldn't tell you the plan in case it doesn't work. I'm going to make them look like flowers because I think that's what they are supposed to be. And I'm going to do all of the flower centres the same. So around the edge, I mean this is slightly tricky because they're overlapping. I probably should have chosen one that wasn't. We probably don't have one anyway. So around the very edge I'm trying to do quite a deep dark layer of this harvest gold colour, and then I'm going to scumble it out towards the middle in a lighter layer until we go to nothing. So I'm just doing a lighter application, less layers, and sort of a circular movement to bring it towards the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the Vegas yellow, which is much brighter yellow. I'm going to go over the top. Hopefully it will sort of blend it up a bit. If it doesn't blend perfectly, we can always layer more. These are good pencils for layering, so that's okay. But the idea is to just put a spot of this on here and then really show it in the middle. Now I'm thinking leaving a slightly white centre might be a good idea, but we do need to make sure we've got enough colour down, so I'm going to put yet another layer on. I'm sort of avoiding the very middle because I want to make sure I have a much gentler touch there, just so we can still leave the tiniest bit of white. I'm hoping that it looks slightly domed, but it doesn't. I need a darker colour on the outside. I want the French grey. Where are you, French grey? Is that you there? No. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay. Get there in a minute. French grey. I'm going to put that around the edge to make it even darker. Don't worry if you colour on top of the black. That's what I've been doing. I think it actually is a good idea, to be honest. So the bigger the contrast you have between the dark and the light area, the better really. I'm beginning to see this taking shape now. I've got this really dark colour involved. And then I'm going to go back actually to the harvest gold and put a bit more on. I'm trying not to completely colour over that darker colour because we want it to stand out, and we don't want to fade it down with this one, but just take the Harvest Gold in a little bit, layer it on a bit more. Okay, you can see that it is sort of shiny, but I like the effect we're getting with it. There we go. I'm going to leave it there with that one and just come back in with our Vegas yellow. Again, I'm not going to go over the top of the bits that overlap it too much, but just bring in another layer. I really want that nice and bright, so try and leave that centre a little bit white. There we are. Now we have our petals. Now on most of these we have 3 or 2 layers of petals, a few or 4 layers. So let's have a think about how to do those. What colour should I choose to start with? It's a difficult choice, isn't it? I think I am going to look at the length of my pencils and choose one of the longer ones. That one's quite long. The Jasper Peach, that's what I'm going to choose. It's quite a long pencil. It's not the best way to choose, but it's my way of choosing. Now with each petal set, I want to make it darker at the base and lighter to the tip. Now you've seen me do this lots of times before if you've watched me before. So you layer up here and then less towards the tip. Now don't layer it, don't push down really hard here, because we may find that this layer isn't thick enough and it just doesn't stand out enough, and we might need to put a darker one on, like we did with adding the French grey on the circle. We might need to also add something to our petals to darken them. So keep it reasonably light. Excuse me, I mean we do want it layered up a little, but don't press down on the paper so hard that we can't add any more. You know, if you keep pushing down too hard, it flattens the paper and then that's it, you can't add more colour. Or worse, you make a hole in the paper. No one wants to do that. I have done that once. I have put so many layers down that the paper tore. That was disastrous. It's very difficult to know what to do then. Very difficult indeed. Okay, so that's our initial layer. I'm definitely going to go over that with the darker one. But I'm going to do the other sections of petals first. Now I'm going to treat them all as one thing. So I'm not going to do each petal one by one. I'm going to, it looks like I am, but I'm not really, just because of the width of them. I'm just going to put more layers here and less towards the tip. And then we can just work all the way along. Obviously it's quite a big flower and we're doing the same thing with it all. Now I'm not sure of my strategy on this page. I could use this same colour the whole page, you know, that was my initial strategy. But I could just make all the centres the same and make the petals different. And I'm not really sure. And if I keep using the same colour, I will run out of this colour. But I purposely picked my longest one because it's the one I don't use so much as the rest. Whoops. Maybe should put you in the middle, shouldn't I? So I'm not sure. And also you can do it however you wish. So you might wish to have a multicoloured page. You may wish to pick 1 or 2 colours. You may wish to just use all the colours. You might also decide that you don't just want your flower centres all the same. You might want them all different colours, you know. So there's a lot of options, and that's where these pages can be quite daunting for that exact reason. And it's not hard to colour, but it's hard to think about what colours to use, and even perhaps how to colour these sort of shapes which aren't quite flowers, they're sort of slightly abstract. So this one, for example, where we've got this line around, I mean, what do you do with that? And this, I mean, let's have a think. With the lines going around here and around there, I would tend to ignore them. I would tend to just look at do one petal at a time and just ignore that bit, and it will still show up through your colour, so you'll still be able to see and enjoy Johanna's little embellishments, but you don't have to worry about colouring it. These lines, however, are trickier. What would I do? I mean, I could colour it just like I did this one, but I don't think it would look right because it's not the right shape. Maybe just black or the French grey. Yeah, French grey, I think. But would that take from that effect? Oh, it's a difficult decision, isn't it? I don't know. I think I'm going to have to try it and then see what works. So we might do that. But we also have this sort of quite a big blank area here. On this planner page it's not quite so daunting, but on the actual page in the book there's quite a big blank area. And I think the idea with Secret Garden, which is what this is from, was always to fill in some of your own. So she's probably expecting you to doodle some more. Now if you're good at drawing or you enjoy drawing, you could have a go. But I'm not a big fan of drawing, so my options would be to trace it or to just put a background in there, a plain pastel, or leave it blank. I think in both my versions of Secret Garden that I completed, I think I left it blank. I'm going back across, just darkening this a little. These on this side seem a little bit paler than these on this side. Now the last layer we're going to do the same. We're going to ignore this. Now that V could be like an indication that the petal is just turned over at the end, but I find that I have tried to put some shadows around it and make it look like that, but I've not succeeded. So I'm just going to colour over it and pretend it isn't there. I find turned over bits of petal quite difficult to colour anyway, and these, because they're all regular and it's more of a pattern rather than a flower, it's even trickier really, so I tend just to leave it. Now looking at this one as I'm going, I'm thinking, wonky, that maybe I do want to make them all different colours with the same colour centre but different colour petals. I think it would actually work really nicely. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try and randomise the colours. Now that's quite difficult because you need to space them out fairly evenly so you don't have all your blues in a cluster or whatever, but you need to space it out. If you want it to look truly random, then you maybe need a few blues together. You know, it takes a little bit of thought. The best thing to do is to count your flowers, count your colours, work out which colour you might have most of. I think we've got loads of greens, so if we're going to use greens for petals, you might not want to. You can spread those across the board and then across the page and then pop the other colours in between maybe. So this Jasper Peach is quite a reddish colour, I think. So if I was picking up the next red colour, which may be bloodstone or even rose argent, I would make sure it wasn't next to it. So I might do one in the bottom corner, one to the other side, you know, make sure they're not next to each other. And you have to sort of plan and make it look random. It sounds a bit weird, but it's just the way it is really. There's no such thing as random really. So it's just a matter of doing the best that you can. And when you've finished this, you might want to emphasize the light and shade a little bit more, and I'll show you how to do that. You don't have to do this step. So I am going to use the mythos of black, and I am going to go just in here at the very bottom of each petal. And I'm hoping it's going to make them look like they're dipped in. A little bit. And then I'm going to do the same around the edge of these. So I'm just going to put like a little shadow in, which I hope will help to sort of separate the layers of petals a little bit. Try not to go over the line onto the petal. Try, and it doesn't matter if you go that way, away from the petal, but if you go onto it, it's going to spoil the effect of this being shadow. Now what I tend to do with my metallics, which is what I'm doing here, is I tend to treat them like they're just a normal pencil in the way that I do my light and shade, and I find it's probably the most effective way to use them that I found. Okay, so we can see that now. Looks like we've got quite a bit of shadow in there. And we're going to do the same on this outer layer. Oh, so I've got an itchy nose. Can't colour with an itchy nose, it's too distracting. Now, this will take a while, but if you're doing all of the flowers, which I assume you will be, I would leave this till last. So do all the flowers and then just do this black bit at the end. It speeds it up rather than doing each one at a time. Although it's a bit boring if you do it that way perhaps. So if you think you're going to get bored, do each one. Actually, it might be wise to do each one. Just thinking about it, scrap what I just said, because I'm going to go over each of these black marks with the colour of the petal, and you might not remember what it is. So actually it's probably a good idea. I sound like I'm going hoarse. This is only my third video of the day, but it's getting later in the day because I got disrupted earlier, but that's okay. So I'm going to reach for my Jasper Peach again. I am just going to basically put a little bit more on top, just above that black line, not completely on top of it. And same here. Also doing over that little bit that I missed, and a little bit around here. going to look up in the camera to see how that is. That looks fine to me. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to do all of them the same. I'm not going to do any more on camera. No, I'm going to do that one on camera actually, because I did say, just checking the time, it's nearly tea time, but I'm okay, that I would have a go at this sort of bordery bit. I still don't know what to do with it, but let's grab our harvest gold and make a start on our centre. So just the same as the other one, all the way around the edge, with lots of layers, and then less as we go in. How many? I've got no idea how many I've done. And then maybe fade it a little bit more in. Before we do the Vegas yellow. Remember the first time we put it right on top to help to blend it all in together. Now on this one we had quite a deep dark line around there, which has really helped us. We don't have that on this one, so I'm going to try just using a French grey, but if it isn't enough I may need to use some black as well. But we'll try the French grey first. And then back to our harvest gold. And then back to the Vegas yellow. Sorry for the lack of chatter. I am getting a little tired, to be honest. I woke up at before 3 and I was having hot flushes, as always, night sweats or whatever they call them at night, and I just couldn't get back to sleep. Okay, see, that one to me doesn't look quite as good as this one. I'm going to grab my Mythos black and put a little black line all around the edge, and I think it's just going to help us a little bit. Yeah, I think that helped. I'm going to layer that over again. So if your centre doesn't have a dark line round, like this one doesn't, use your Mythos black to just draw one in. Now what we're going to do with this, just going to choose my next colour. I think I'm going to do a green because there's lots of greens. This is the Verde Jade. And do I do this black or the leaf colour? I think I'm going to try doing it the colour of the petals. Sorry, not leaves. Of course it's blunt. It's got wobbly lead. I'm going to try to use it, but I may have to sharpen it. I'm just being lazy because my sharpener's a bit full. So the idea is to try and get it harder right on the edge and a bit lighter towards the top. But it's important to make sure you have got some colour down everywhere. This particular bit. And then we'll do the same with these inner petals. It's a bit harder here. And this to the tip. Could just nod off, you know, sitting here. I couldn't really. I don't remember the last time I slept in the day. It's not something I do. I used to take naps when I was pregnant. After I got past 6 months, it was very tiring carrying twins, especially as they were the size of a when they were born, they were 6'4" and 6'9", so the size of a normal average baby, and there were 2 placentas because they weren't identical, so I was virtually, well, I was literally carrying double. Some twin mummies don't because their twins don't grow as big, but mine did. I tried to eat really well while I was pregnant, hoping that would help. Eating a fair bit of protein, but also lots of fruit and veg. I avoided sweetener and all the things you're supposed to avoid as well, like soft cheeses and obviously alcohol, smoking. I don't do those anyway. I avoided peanuts because we were told to. Now they're saying you should have them, but luckily my boys aren't allergic to anything that we know of, so they've both tried peanuts. One son doesn't like them, but that's a whole different issue. Right, I'm going to break this lead out of this pencil and give it a sharpen because I want it to be sharper. I may have to use my other sharpener because this one's very full. Yeah. I've got a Prismacolor sharpener here on this desk. I don't know why. Just trying to find which is... It's got 2 holes. I want the slightly squatty hole. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back in to the areas that I want a bit darker. I realised that last time we went in with the black, and I will do that in a minute, but I just didn't have enough lead to be able to do this properly. I didn't feel anyway. You could do the very outside as if it was another layer and a bit darker here than here, but it's too small for me. That's why I'm sort of ignoring it really. Okay, now I'm going to use that mythos black again, and we're going to do some edging. I don't know why it didn't come in a bit closer. So we're going to go around the very bottom of this part, which I sort of did anyway because I did it by accident. Then around the edge of this small set of petals. Now I find this black the most useful pencil in the whole set. I'll be upset when it goes, but it's likely to be the first one because I use it so much. But there's a Typhoon Grey, which is reasonably dark, which I'm just use instead, because of course they don't sell open stock. But, you know, I might be surprised and other things might run out first. Depends, you know, if one gets a breaky lead or whatever, then it'll run out before it. Okay, so back to the verde jade and back over those just above the extra dark area to hopefully give the whole thing more shape. And all the way around. Oh, it's nearly time to cook tea. I asked the boys to decide. We'll see. One of them's going to want to make sure we're on time because he's doing a live stream at 6 o'clock. So we usually eat really early at 5. I like to eat earlier or else I feel uncomfortable in bed. What's that? Is that a bit? Let's just colour that in too. There we are. So that's how I dealt with that. You might not want to deal with that one the same way, but I think it looks fine. I'm happy with it. I might make this a little bit darker, but I'm going to leave it there. So that is an example of how I'm going to do these, and I will be doing the rest of the page each in a different colour. What I will probably do is is do greens. I might do greens and blues, because some are bluey greens, spread out a bit first around the page and then do the other colours after in between, so that I know I sort of get them spread out. Because we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think it's about 20, 21 of these to do. So it's quite a lot of different colours. But we should have enough colours, it's just making sure they're not next to each other too often. You can put them next to each other, but you don't want clusters of colour. Or you might. You could do a rainbow. There, I'll leave you with a confusing decision that'll make you think hard. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Have a very happy Monday and happy colouring.